Welcome everyone, it is John the Net Guy. So this is the Zeus if you're buying it on Amazon, or Talos if you're buying it directly from Gamdias. This is their E3 ATX case. Now you're going, okay, ATX case, yes, it does look big. When you look at it compared to this NZXT back here, which is a mid-tower, size case, what I would normally call a mid-tower. This thing has room for a full ATX motherboard. It's going to have 3 fans, addressable RGB. It's going to have all those basics that you need. Let me go ahead and take this out. It's got a tempered glass side that's got plastic on both sides. Let's take a look on the inside of this. Now, one of the things I notice on these, I'll push down on the motherboard tray. See how that's got a little bit of flex to it? It's not bad. All of this ribbing and reinforcement in there is going to get it to be a little bit stronger. Overall, without the glass, the case is not bad. And again, you don't want necessarily a super heavy case, but it's got the things that you want. So let's take a look at this top. On the top, we've got a mesh filter there, and you have room for a 240 AIO up there if you want. Now it's going to be tight because again, this is going to fit that full-size ATX board. So you've got 2 regular USB 3, you've got audio that's broken out, you've got an LED button. The LED button is going to allow you to change the LED effects, so you don't have to have an addressable RGB motherboard. So this is a really good case for flips if you're doing like corporate to whatever. Standard power button, everybody's gotten rid of the reset now. And then, I'll just show you the front real quick. This is that mesh front that we were talking about. So, very understated Gamdias logo. They don't have a lighted logo on this one like they did on the prior ones. So, that's the Gamdias logo. Let's go on to the inside here. So, like I said, 3 fans, and they're actually installed the correct way from the factory. So, a quick trick on fans, wherever the cage is usually the direction of the airflow. So, where the frame is. Now, I'll show you on the other fan kit, that's not exactly true. So, you do have to check them and make sure that they're oriented the right way. So it's going to tell you where the mini ITX, micro ATX or MATX, and the AT standoffs go. All throughout here, it's going to have standoff locations. From edge to edge, you have 1 foot almost exactly on the motherboard. You can see that foot hash. I would say you have exactly 12 inches there if you're looking to put an eATX in. So I don't know if that would actually fit on there. Does have the standard power supply basement, which I'm going to show you guys here. So again, your power supply fits in. The power supply can rotate in 2 different directions. I notice it doesn't have mounting if you were to rotate it the other way. What you're seeing through there, you can see my hand through, is actually another feature. Bottom mesh screen, that's getting really popular these days. And actually, this is something that I'm going to take out in a second, which it does have a removable drive tray here. So, but if you want to take off the removable drive tray on this, you can. If we're not putting any internal hard drives, which we're not, that's something that we can do. Getting to the back of these, super duper easy. Just 2 thumb screws, and I love having thumb screws. This is what the wiring looks like when you get it. Your accessory bag is going to be stuck right here. All the stuff's pretty bog standard. There are a couple things that you should look out for on here. One of them is you're going to see a SATA connector, and I'm looking for that guy right now. You're going to see the SATA connector in these really funky fan headers. This is my only gripe right now, I would say, having built in this case, is when I plug this in, this is the power for the fans. It doesn't have PWM on them, so they ramp up to full speed. I'm sure you could figure out some sort of way of adapting this. Doesn't look like a standard fan header, at least not from this side. But that is the one drawback, I would say, is if you're going to do this, this is great for a budget build that needs consistent airflow. They're not too loud, and we're going to make this thing really loud when we put all of our fans in it. But that would be one thing to think about. Power supply basement right here, you've got room for at least 200 millimeters of power supply. If you take the drive tray out, you got room for a gazillion meters of power supply. I'm going to go ahead and take the drive tray out. That's, again, super easy on these things. It looks like they're anti-vibration mounts. That's kind of cool. Since we're not going to do this and I want room to hide my cables, I'm going to pull this whole drive tray out. So it's got room for another, 3.5 inch drive or a 2.5 with adapters. And then on the back side here, you can see you can mount your SSDs either front or back through this. There's a couple options there, it looks like. Standard USB 3 headers and everything else. They're starting to come out now, a lot more of these with these keyed, I love to hate them, let's say it that way, these keyed backplates. So usually before, you just have to push the backplate on of the case, back cover. And what's happening now is I'm aligning these and I'm pushing them in, And what that's going to do is it's going to give positive engagement on the back here so that you don't get a case that pops out on the top or the bottom or something and you don't get it just right. So if you get them right and you're good at cable management, that can make it really, really look good, especially on a case that's not going to be super heavy. So that line is perfect right there, you see. So that's a cool trick. Check that out. I can test my RGB out now. Now look at that. I've got my RGB fans and I got it on full blast. So there we go. So now we've got our Kratos power supply. We've got our Gamdias E3 Mesh. The fans are blowing right now. And like I said, they're not super loud. But let's press that LED button. Now, these are not linked because they're not tied to the motherboard yet. But you can see, I can keep these in sync here just by changing the buttons on them. I guess I'm gonna have to go forward on this one. So it's got a ton of different chase patterns. Off, there's your different color wheels. I think I even saw a lightning effect earlier. So again, addressable RGB, pretty slick. Now the only drawback, like I said, on this one is the PWM on the fans doesn't look to be controllable. And the second thing is the GPU width. So we'll see what that exactly is if we can get a number out of that. So you can go to 140 millimeter fans if you want. So if you want to add even more fans, you can do that. 300 millimeter max GPU, and I was trying to shove a 330 millimeter GPU inside of it. A couple things about this airflow wise. Again, air's coming in the front, out the back, so it's 2 to 1 here. So that's the case. That's what we're going to put everything into when we're done.